To YouTube, and we should be able to get started.
Okay, great.
Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt here with Anne-Marie and Mike McEwen. Today is Wednesday, November the 27th, 2019. It's 4 p.m. in New York, but wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And we are happy here in the United States because tomorrow is our Thanksgiving Day. And so we're kind of doing a little celebration of that by bringing Anne-Marie and Mike back to join us on the show. They used to do the Sunday night podcast when there was a Sunday night podcast. So it's great to have them back. And Anne-Marie's the first one on the line there. Anne-Marie, how you doing? Hope you're doing well.
Hi, Walt. I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks for inviting us on.
Absolutely. And hopefully Mike will be able to join us shortly once he gets other stuff lined up. But we'll just get us started here. No big deal. And what's
Yeah,
that?
I think he's trying. I think he's real close.
He's close. Okay. Well, this is like doubly good for us because you and Mike and Louise and I, we get to be in touch like once every couple months or so, and it's been a couple months since we've been in touch. So there's that side of it. Plus, we haven't done a show together in ages, so there's that side of it. So
I know. I sometimes feel a little like not really jealous, but like, yearning to be on the air with you. And then I just listen in a lot of times. I don't chime in too much because my schedule is just so crazy. But I think about it a lot, and I enjoy listening to the podcast. So I'm glad you're still doing it, even though it's a reduced schedule. It's still a lot of time that you're putting out those podcasts. So
and,
it's
and well
great.
worth it. I have to tell you, very much well worth it. Not the least of which is because we're growing the audience, which is wonderful. I
Yeah.
mean, it's been really taking off. And also because I continue to enjoy it. I know my other co-hosts continue to enjoy it as well. So it's well worth all the time that we put in. And
Yeah.
certainly our listeners are telling us that it's well worth it because they keep subscribing. So they must like something about it, right?
That's right. That's right. They wouldn't subscribe if they didn't like it. So
Absolutely.
I'm glad about that.
So since we
Hello, hello.
are
Can you hear me now?
here
Oh,
comes
yeah, there's
Mike.
Mike. Hi,
Hello,
Mike.
Mike,
guys. How you doing?
good to talk to you again, my friend. How's it going at your end?
It's going well. You know, tying up a lot of loose ends, so running around. I'm running a little bit late to be on the podcast, but I'm certainly grateful to be here with you guys. So here we are.
Yeah,
How's
well,
it
we're glad
going?
to have you. And
Yes.
as I was just describing about how it's been a while since the four of us, you, me, and Anne-Marie and Louise had gotten together, so this is like an opportunity to catch up again. So also, it's an opportunity to take advantage of the fact that we are at the Thanksgiving season here in the United States, and Thanksgiving,
Yes.
of course, it's a tradition that is carried out in many countries around the world at various times throughout the year. But it's also a good thing for those of us who are conscious creators, who are deliberate creators. And we are reminded that this is one of the most important things that we are to do as creators to get us into that high flying, good feeling, high vibration place where all of our wishes and desires we put out there come back to us much more in line with what we had in mind in the first place. So it's good stuff.
Exactly.
And I see you have a friend with you there, Anne Marie.
Yes. So this is my granddaughter, Indy.
Hi, Indy.
She just helped me. Thank you. She just helped me peel sweet potatoes,
Uh-huh.
and she just turned all of the skins into little cookies here. So
Nice.
sort of cookies. There we go.
Ah, that
So
looks
she's
great.
real creative. Okay, you go back to the kitchen with that. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Now I have
Fantastic.
sweet potatoes everywhere.
Ah, yeah. Well, that's
Thank
part
you
of the
so much.
fun this time of year, you know?
Yummy sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes.
And there's a happy face right
Are
there.
you trying to come be on the air with me? All right, well, go wash your hands and then you can no, go wash your hands and you can come over here and sit. She was on the radio with me not too long ago. We were on a regular radio show,
Mm,
advertising one of the shows at the Buttonwood Tree, and she
hmm.
got to sit in with me and she talked quite a bit actually.
Really? Oh, good for her. We have a
So
A budding
Anyway,
personality on the air. That's pretty good.
she's 6 years old, and she is happy to chit chat as much as she can, I guess.
Don't we all? That's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And for listeners who may not have been around when you were one of our co-hosts, there she's back. When you were one of the co-hosts, and when Mike was a co-host, a lot of listeners may not know what the Buttonwood Tree is. So why don't you give people just a little 30-second bio on that?
Okay, so the Buttonwood Tree is a nonprofit performing arts center in Middletown. We're right on Main Street, and
Middletown, Connecticut, for people around the world.
Oh, that's right, Middletown, Connecticut. Sorry, Middletown, Connecticut, and we present all kinds of music from around the world, or local music, or I should say, and local music. We also have an art gallery and a bookstore, used bookstore. So we take donations and then we share them with our community. And we rent our space out so people who have creative ideas can do whatever they want to do.
That's excellent. Yeah.
Well, not whatever, but all kinds of things. Last night we had a rehearsal because we are having a show on Friday night, the day after Thanksgiving, and they wanted to rehearse. They were bringing in like 6 people from all over the place who had never really worked together before and on this project. And so she brought them together for rehearsal last night.
Okay. Yeah, and I know you guys get a lot of really fabulous acts coming through. A lot of very high quality musicians and so forth.
Yeah. In fact, Sunday we have the Slambovians coming. So if anybody wants to check out the Buttonwood Tree, you can go to buttonwood.org, and see us online. Indy, you're quite rambunctious today. Would you like to tell us something that you're grateful for? Because we're going to be celebrating Thanksgiving. What is Thanksgiving all about? Turkey, huh?
Turkey, yes.
Anything else? Anything else besides candy and turkey?
Giving thanks.
Giving thanks, yes.
I knew that. I just wanted to say turkey because I love turkey and candy.
Yeah. So besides for your turkey, what's your favorite part about Thanksgiving?
Giving thanks.
Giving thanks. And what are you going to give some thanks for? What are some of the things you're grateful for?
My family.
That's a good
my
one.
School.
Your school. That's a good one.
And your hair.
And my hair, tied up because we're cooking. And what else?
Everybody.
Everybody. That's good.
Everybody,
yes, because we're all brothers and sisters in this one big human family, aren't we?
Yeah.
And you're especially grateful for Grandpa, right, Indy?
Yes.
Self-serving plug. I love it. That's great. So that's
Grandma's arm.
It is, isn't it?
So Walt,
go ahead.
You were reminding me before when you were talking about getting into that good feeling place. On Monday nights at the Buttonwood Tree, we do moments of gratitude in between our open mic. And moments of gratitude, I tell people, being grateful is getting yourself to that feeling where you're grateful, and that's where the universe basically can bring into you, you're allowing that flow of pure positive energy in, and you're allowing whatever it is that you desired, you're allowing the channel so the universe can deliver whatever it is you want. So being in that feeling of gratitude is really important and really helpful to having a life that you want.
Absolutely. And I'm reminded too, just by looking at your granddaughter there, as she's displaying huge amounts of high vibration energy. Kids are a wonderful example to the rest of us about what high vibration energy is. They really are.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. They're happy and carefree and energetic.
They really are, especially right now. She looks like she's bouncing off the walls.
No, you need to calm down, child. You silly. All right. I bet most of your shows don't go this way now.
Not too often. No, this is pretty unusual, I have to admit.
Okay. Do you want to say anything else, or do you want to go play? Okay.
She's speaking silently right now. So anyway, while Anne-Marie is helping her granddaughter, I wanted to also share the fact that Jeffrey and Nasha, I believe, are tuned in on the live stream, and wanted to share that a couple of appreciations Jeffrey has. He says, I appreciate the feeling of a warm and loving family, and I appreciate Anne Marie's work and the music she posts on Facebook. I appreciate live music, he says.
Yes. Thank you, Jeffrey. Jeffrey's my pivot pal. So if I'm really down in the dumps or something, I text Jeffrey, and he sends me these wonderful messages, and they really help me to pivot back to the positive. So I appreciate Jeffrey and all the comments that he makes a lot when he's on all the time when you're
Totally.
in the podcast. So
Yeah.
it's great to hear his comments and his questions, and I appreciate that. So I appreciate you, Jeffrey. Thank you.
Fabulous. Absolutely. And Jeffrey is, I think, probably our most frequent live stream listener and participant. Nasha is also a frequent flyer, so to speak. Yes. But so it's great to have her here too. She wishes a happy Thanksgiving to all, which is fabulous. I just kind of wanted to go around kind of in a round robin here and just share some stuff that we're appreciative of, that we're grateful for, to continue what your granddaughter has already done to get the vibration up there. We got to do it among ourselves as adults. I mean, we have to follow their lead, right? So,
yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off by saying something that I expressed appreciation for yesterday in the Pivot Pals group that I established about a year ago. And by the way, listeners are welcome. We have had a few listeners just in the last week join the group, but anyone is welcome to join. Essentially, the purpose of Pivot Pals is to do what we're doing here, to not just be grateful and appreciative, but also to publish and share little vignettes about things that we're trying to attract into our lives, and basically get the support of everybody else who's a member of the group to help us get those things done, and share each other's stuff and get excited about each other's stuff so that we all become better manifestors. So if you want to join the group, just go to Facebook and do a search on Law of Attraction Pivot Pals, and we'll just pop right up there, and you can subscribe and we'll let you in. But anyway, I had posted on there that I'm really appreciative of the fact that our listenership is growing, and I know I mentioned that earlier. But you know what? I want to keep mentioning it because I really am appreciative of it. And the goal that I've set right now is to get to 1,000 listeners, which if you had talked to me about this even a year ago, let alone 2 or 3 years ago, I probably would have given you a halting answer about, well, yeah, that's really where I'd like to be. Now, I'm certain we're going to get there, and it's going to be pretty quick. But I just can't tell you exactly how soon it's going to be. Right now, we are averaging somewhere around 450, 460 listeners an episode. And it's been just growing like crazy. So thank you to our listeners, both our live streamers and our podcast listeners, because without you, that wouldn't happen. And I'm just looking forward to what's going to be happening in the very near future. I'm thinking we're going to hit 1,000 really pretty soon. I just don't know when it's going to be. So stay tuned on that one. But nevertheless, I'm appreciative of that. I'm really appreciative of that. So, Mike, what are you appreciative of? What's something that you're grateful about in your life?
Well, I'm really grateful that all the cool things that are happening and the manifestations of working every day to stay in that vortex, and the little things that are showing up, and I'm starting to recognize more about that. And this time of year, to be grateful for family, especially grateful for my wife and my kids, my grandkids. And also, I'll be meeting my great-granddaughter for the first time.
Whoa!
I'm flying out 17th. So, yeah.
To Arizona.
Arizona, yeah. So, I'm really grateful for that.
She's like a year and a half now, I think?
Year and a half, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
she's a year and a half.
So, yes, and spending the first Christmas with my daughter and grandkids out there in Arizona. So, it's going to be really good. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Great. What's your granddaughter's name?
Mila.
Mila.
Yeah. Mila Rose. Yeah.
You're going to get to spend some time with her while she's now becoming more sentient and more aware of her surroundings and able to interact and so forth.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a great age. It's a really great age. Yeah.
I'm really grateful for that.
So, yeah, something to look forward to. Not only to be grateful for, but to look forward to. That's a big part. You know, having that thing to look forward to is when you're in, especially if you're not in a great place, having something to look forward to is a great way to get there. Just because it builds you up. It makes you feel better, you know?
It does. It does make you feel better.
Yeah. And that's part of what we need to do every day is to wake up and find something to be grateful for. To stay in the vortex. That's how you keep those high vibrations going.
It's true.
It seems like things are not really working out well. Find something to be grateful for.
Yeah, that's our goal. Sometimes before we even get out of bed, I talk about what we're grateful for. I'll say, Mike, what are you grateful for? And then I'll say things that I'm grateful for, and we'll spend like 3 or 4 minutes doing that.
Isn't it interesting how when we say something like we're spending 3 or 4 minutes on a thing like that, 3 or 4 minutes, we blow through those, constantly throughout the day. But when we're actually focused on it, it seems to go on forever. I mean, have you ever figured out why that is? I mean, if we're just doing a regular task, we can do a regular task for hours. But the moment that we're focusing on something that builds us up and makes us, focus on what we're grateful for or what feels good and so forth, or what it is that we're trying to attract, all of a sudden 3 or 4 minutes is just an eternity. Why is that?
I don't know. I find it goes pretty fast, actually. I find when I'm focused on something that I'm really happy about, or when I'm feeling really appreciative about something, or I'm feeling really, time just seems to fly for me. So,
oh, wow.
So maybe it affects different people differently. I don't know. What do you think, Mike? Is that what, am I understanding the premise right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's all going to be perceptive anyway. Everybody's going to have a different perception.
Oh yeah.
What's your perception, Mike? When you're focused on, working on yourself, doing a mirror exercise, doing something with appreciation, or just, doing just basic manifestation work, here's what I'm trying to attract into my life. Do you find that that time kind of slows down, that it speeds up, that it stays the same, that you forget about it? What?
I think a lot of things just shut down and go away. Mostly the thoughts of, how's this going to work, and trusting that it's just going to all line up for you.
Mm.
At that moment, it's like hitting the pause button, and you can just refresh yourself, if you will. And the more I practice that, it's especially when there's so many things going on right now in our lives, with taking on some new adventures and the holiday season. I'm being more kind to myself and breaking away from it, like 10, 15 minutes, and practice some of the techniques to make sure that I'm staying more to the vortex. Just hitting the pause button, say, hold on, folks, I'll be right back with you. I got to take care of something, and just go off and just refresh. And I react to things much differently after that.
He's really good about that. He'll say, I just have to go, and he'll just go do Tai Chi by himself. And then he'll come back a little while later and he's fine. Now me, if I get into a real rut, I have a harder time getting it out of it. And that's when I feel like time just slows down, and it's eternity when I'm working to get back into the vortex, when I'm in that like depressed state or frustrated state or whatever. If I can't get myself into laughter yoga, or if I can't turn myself around right away, or I'm not even, like feeling like reaching out to somebody to say, hey, can you help me pivot? It's like sometimes you just don't have it in you to even just do that.
Yeah.
So that's what feels like eternity for me.
Sure. Yeah. And I think you probably hit the nail on the head. It's when we're not feeling good that it seems to take forever to focus on something like that. When we're feeling great, it can fly right by. And I love what you were saying, Mike, because what you were describing was being what they call in the now. It's a timeless experience, and that's the best experience.
Yeah. I think the thing that I'm learning mostly now is to really enjoy the journey. When there's some challenging times that are happening, react to it differently and go right back to the training of, okay, there's something here to be joyful about, whether it look, whatever it looks like, find something to say, okay, I appreciate something about this, and know that it too will pass, and and react to it in that way. And it's working much better for me, because it will not push you further away from it. It'll allow you to, I guess, accept it and embrace it, I guess.
That's a good thing.
That's been my biggest challenge, is embracing things that I feel are irritating to me or uncomfortable or any of that. And now I just say, okay, I know what this is. In the mirror work, and I have to thank you, Walt, for getting me back into that, and I still do it every single day. I do it a lot. I find myself. This may sound silly, but it helps. especially in
No.
the traffic that's out there. I'll be at a red light and I'll look up at the rearview mirror and go, "Hey, look at you, still loving yourself, Mike."
I love it.
Amongst all
I
this
love it.
traffic, you still love yourself.
That's good stuff. Well, I think you've illustrated what happens when you do daily work, because that's what you've been doing. You've been doing a lot of
A
daily
long
work.
time.
A long
Yeah.
time, yeah. This has been
Yeah.
for months. I lost track of how long it's been. I have to keep going with it, because it really
Mhm.
helps. It's one
Yeah.
piece of the puzzle that really helps. It's not
People-
easy to do. I mean,
No, well, it takes a
welcome
certain
anybody that wants to try it.
It definitely takes a commitment, but on the other hand, once you start doing it, it becomes easier. I mean, the hardest ones are the first couple days.
Yeah.
But after that, it's just like, okay, it's just part of my daily routine. I'm just going to keep doing this stuff.
And I keep remembering what you said to me about, the little voice in your head quiets down. And that's
Isn't that
what's
great?
key. The little chatter, the mind chatter, just eventually it silence itself at the right time. I mean, it'll chime in whenever it gets an opportunity to.
But he talks to it now like, no, I don't need you here now. Go away. I'm all set. Like he talks to it like an entity, and that he's got control of it. And he's like, nope, don't need you. Go away.
I remember you. You're that old habit. You're no
Yeah.
longer needed here. I've replaced you with a new habit. So go help somebody else.
Well done.
It sounds a little kooky and crazy, but it works.
No, it doesn't sound kooky or
That's
crazy.
embracing it, right? That's allowing it, and then just process it and let it go.
It may have sounded kooky to me 7 years ago, but it doesn't sound kooky to me now.
Well,
Right.
people that may be listening for the first time, they're like, "Wow, that's kind of crazy."
Yeah. Well, I think Abraham said something about, we're the weirdos that everybody says, oh, you're the weirdos. And it's not crowded on the leading edge, right? So I have to remember that a lot and, say, well, okay, a lot of people might think I'm crazy for what I'm saying, but it's really rewarding to see at the Buttonwood Tree when I talk about moments of gratitude or appreciation, people will get up and we'll have really meaningful experiences there, and it's just such a safe place and an accepting and supportive environment. It's a really small room, so people are really nurturing with each other, and it's just amazing what comes out. It's really gratifying for me to see that. But generally, if you were in a bigger room with massive amounts of people, they're gonna laugh at you to say, what? I mean, I don't think our society has evolved to that point yet where all this kind of stuff, the law of attraction and tuning into your energy and all that kind of stuff is just not accepted by mainstream yet. And it's okay. I think we're getting there. We're getting there. We're definitely going in the right direction. I mean, they're doing yoga in schools for heaven's sake now, like, who would have thunk it? If you would have told me they were doing yoga 30 years ago, I would have said, they're doing what? That's how unenlightened I was. I was like, what?
I think a lot of people would have said that, actually. Yeah. But I really see lots of signs of improvement happening. I even see it in places where you were just describing how there's a lack of acceptance. I even see it in the places of lack of acceptance. And that sounds a little bit strange to say that, but I had an exchange with somebody recently, just in the last week or so, in which we were talking about something not related directly to law of attraction, but we were talking about another topic, and I said something, and the person's response was something along the lines of, "Oh, you're talking about that new age manifesting thing. Well, that stuff doesn't work."
New age.
And the reason I saw that as a positive is, first of all, he knew what it was. He may not have had the right terminology, but he was aware of it. I mean,
that's true.
10 years ago, he probably wouldn't have had a clue what that was. So I mean, you can easily see that, I suppose, as a negative, but I saw it as a terrific positive. And I also saw it as a sign of how far I'm coming along with my own development, because he didn't offend me at all. It didn't even reach me as an offensive thing. It was more like I was kind of feeling sorry for the guy, because I was actually seeing him. I at that moment in time, I could actually see him as his own bundle of source energy, kind of all tied up on itself. And it was like an image that just kind of flooded into my mind as I'm talking to this guy. So, I mean, at the way I look at it, he's making progress, even though he doesn't intend to. He really is. He's making progress, It may be slow by some people's standards, but I figure moving forward, even one step at a time is one step at a time. It's still improvement. So I'm grateful for that.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good. And it's true that you can't really, how can you agree with something if you don't even know that there's anything there, right?
Yeah.
You have to identify something, and you might be opposed to it at first, but eventually then you might, upon investigating it or spending time with it, you might realize, oh, I really do agree with that. But if you hadn't even, if it wasn't even on your radar at all, then there's no way for you to accept it or learn about it, right? So that's good. I agree with you. I think it's a good step.
And we have 8 billion people on the planet or so, and at any given time, there's a significant number of those who are hitting bottom in some way.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And when you hit bottom, that's when you're most open to hearing about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just it just becomes like an ongoing, continuous experience of growth. Of it's like a what do you call it? It's a momentum. It's a momentum that's picking up. The momentum just keeps going and going. It doesn't really matter that there's resistance out there because the momentum is clearly proven that it's able to overcome the resistance no matter how big that resistance is. And let's be honest, there's a whole lot of resistance out there.
Oh, yeah.
And yet the momentum keeps building, you know?
Yeah, we're never short of that. And that's true.
So, I mean, when I see momentum building against that much resistance, I can only hardly guess what it's going to be like 10 years from now, but it's going to be amazing just because of what I'm seeing from that.
Right. And all the, you know, the more that we see the contrast, the more that we desire it to be better. Right. And so we're going to be manifesting that in the future. Yeah. It's amazing. I think it's a wonderful world that we're living in. I know that there's a lot of contrast, a lot of, you know, things that
that's become the new politically correct way of saying it, right?
Right.
Much softer way of saying it, right?
Right.
And so I can't help but
excuse me,
think about how when I first started in the self-help and starting to break these things down through different teachings, and quite recently it's the fact that I have to be able to not keep score of where I'm at. And it took a long time to pound that through to me. And the more I not keep score of things, the more it evolves and changes for me. And it's like, Mike, how many times you have to hit yourself over the head with this before you just let it go, right? and I catch myself and I go, oh, you're doing it again. Stop it, you know?
He's doing great. He's doing really well with it. It's taken a while, but he's doing really well with it.
That's the secret pill to this.
Yeah,
you know,
not keeping score. Don't look around
Stop looking around of all the things that you think that you should be achieving. You're okay with where you're at. You have to be, because you will not move forward. You just keep hitting that wall. Like, I hit the wall a few times. You know, I actually did it again today. I'm like, oh, look at you. Look, stop. Look in that mirror again, Mike. You know, come on. But I'm grateful that I have all these techniques now, all these, you know, coping mechanisms, you know, that I learned along the way through the journey of, you know, teachings with a lot of different spiritual trainers. But using the technique of not keeping score, I think has helped me the most in these past few months, because, yeah, there's a lot there that you can keep score about.
And the cool thing is, as time goes on, when you just keep working on yourself, the ability to not keep score gets easier. The ability to recognize that it's all working out gets easier. It all gets easier.
Yes.
Easier and easier. And maybe not as fast as you originally had in mind, but eventually you notice that, wow, it's getting easier, and you say, how did that happen? Where did that change? I don't remember anything going on, you know?
Could you please repeat what you said?
Yeah. There's a calmness around all of that. Even though there's a lot of stuff, world things going on around you, it just seems like there's a space of calm energy that you created for yourself when you stop keeping score and say, okay, it's all right. I'm okay right now. You know, looking at face value, if you were to look from the inside out, you say, well, you're not really okay, but you have to be okay if you know the real situation that's going on in people's lives. But that word acceptance comes into play again, and embracing and being okay.
Jeffrey's been going nuts with things that he appreciates, and I want to make sure I get them all in here. So let me read a few of them to you. First of all, he described himself as a pivot monster, and I have to agree with that. He is.
Pivot monster. Oh,
Pivot
okay.
monster, I love it.
But he says, I appreciate great food and wine with friends and family.
Nice.
He, in reference to what you were talking about before, Mike, he says, I'm originally from Phoenix. It will be a very different kind of Christmas, a very warm Christmas down there.
Yes.
He says he appreciates the conversation. He appreciates nurturing communities.
Nice.
He says, yes, we are changing the world. He says, I appreciate an open-minded, supportive community, and I love and appreciate that you all remind me of my favorite family members. Whoa.
Wow.
Nice. That's
Nice.
wonderful.
Well,
thank
Thank
you.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I feel like we are all kind of, well, actually, in one sense, we are all part of the same family. I mean, you mentioned that earlier with your granddaughter, Anne-Marie. It's all
Yeah,
one family.
Yeah, that's how I look at us. We're all humans. I went to Mexico many years ago, and I was walking around Mexico, and of course, all these Mexicans there, they all have this similar look to them, this similar vibe to them. There's a lot of similarities among Mexicans. They're right. But then I saw an American. I was like, oh, an American. And we went up and we talked to each other like we were best friends.
Mhm.
And I thought to myself later, I was like, if I saw that person walking down the streets of New York City or anywhere in the US, I would never just stop and say, hey, how are you doing? Oh, yeah, where are you? Where are you from? What are you doing? But because we were in a different place, it was different. And that really helped me to accept the fact that we're all humans on this one planet. We're all brothers and sisters, and nobody's better than anybody else. We're just but we're all here together, and we're all really, I think, like of one spirit, and we're all connected, so that just really helped. That helped me a lot. So I'm grateful for all the times that I got to travel abroad and see different cultures and see the way people lived differently, and how I'll never forget being in Peru and seeing these little kids who were playing with sticks and a tin can, and how happy they were. And not a care in the world. They were playing with sticks and a tin can, and they were really happy. And I was like, that's amazing. Our judgmental minds go to, oh, they don't even have any toys, but it didn't matter. They were happy.
They did have a toy. It was a tin can. I mean, that was their toy.
Yeah, you got it. It's all in your perception, right? It's all in your perception. It's not really the situation. It's the perception. So Abraham is just so full of so much wisdom. I'm so grateful for Abraham, because they constantly remind me that we can't be living conditionally. And that's a lesson that I keep reminding myself about all the time. You can't cater to the conditions around you, and you can't allow yourself to be changed by the conditions around you, even though we do all the time, right? You have to really try hard to not be affected so much by the conditions around you.
Louise and I are looking forward to doing some traveling. We're going to start this January. We're heading to Florida this January, but we're also looking forward to doing some international traveling.
Wow.
And we haven't done it in quite some time, but I just know, I mean, you talked about what it's like to be in a culture where, like a Mexican culture where everybody's Mexicans except for this one American you saw. To me, that's always half the fun, is you are immersed in a culture like that. And when I'm in a place where I'm surrounded by people who don't look like me, the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking in people's eyes because I want to find out who they are. For me, that's like the introduction. That's where I first get a sense of what this person is like. And if I especially see a pair of eyes that I like, then I really hope and pray that there's no language barrier so I can talk to them. Because, I mean, to me, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. Just getting to know somebody who's from a different culture.
Yep.
We get to do that these days through social media a lot, which is a fabulous thing. But it's even more fun when you do it in reality. And by reality, I mean in person, not virtually, but in a physical environment. I just have so much fun doing that.
I think it's really important to look people in the eye. And I think it helps me even more so nowadays, because I remember as a young mother, my daughters were playing with this doll that had streaks of pink and green and blue hair in it. And they just thought that was the cat's meow to have all this colored different hair. And I thought to myself, wow, I wonder what it would be like if people really did have that colored hair. And now they do.
Now
you know,
they
they're
do,
all
right.
colored hair.
You
And
manifested
it's just,
that color.
it's
hair.
crazy. And so I have to stop myself from saying, you have doll's hair, you know, what you have doll's hair. And so there's so many different things out in the world now that we have to be accepting about. I think acceptance is huge. And I think that, I think actually, I'll go as far as to say that I think acceptance, being accepting is being godly. And by looking at a person in the eye, you're not looking at anything else. Excuse me. But it's looking at a person in the eye and seeing into who they really are that really matters. You know, none of that other stuff matters. It doesn't
Not
matter
really.
what color their hair is, or how big their ears are, or how big is their neck, or how big are their arms, or what color is their skin, or how tall are they. Nothing really matters except looking into that person through their eyes and
Exactly.
looking them as, you know, our soul sister, our soul brother. And
Yeah.
So-
That's where the fun is for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
I
get
really,
there.
I really love that.
Life's good.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, Walt. So the podcast will go on the road. You'll still do the podcast? from
Oh
there?
yeah.
What's going to happen
I
with it?
imagine we're gonna. I'm not sure how that's gonna work, but I can't imagine going without a podcast for
Right.
like a 10-day period, which is what it's going to be. So yeah, we'll work some broadcasts in from Florida. I just don't know exactly how, when, or where, but we'll do it one way or another.
All right. I'm looking forward to seeing how that unfolds. you
Well,
know?
there's Wi-Fi everywhere, so
That's right.
This is
you
true.
know, you can bring your computer and log in.
Well-
The only problem is you're on vacation, so it's hard, and you don't have
Well,
all that technology with you.
It's also going to be easy because we're going to be staying with my brother.
Oh, okay.
So first of all, there's where the Wi-Fi is going to come from because we'll just be in their apartment, so that'll be really easy. The only hard part is just figuring out when we're going to do it in the midst of our vacation schedule.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's something else to be grateful for, to be appreciative of the fact that, you know, first of all, we have a place to stay, which is wonderful. You know, I get to spend time with my brother. I haven't had an opportunity to spend more than a day with my brother in, oh, good grief, 20 years, something like that. I mean, it's been a
Wow.
long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
I
awesome.
mean, we saw him this past summer on the sad occasion of my mom's passing, so we obviously got together for that. But it's been a long time since we spent a lot of time with him. So
Nice.
one more thing to look forward to. One more
Good
thing
for
to be
you.
grateful
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me, I'm looking forward to seeing my daughter. I'm going to see my daughter and my son-in-law and my grandson, who just turned 4,
Mm.
and my 2 brothers. They're all out in the state of Washington, and their respective others, and my sister-in-law Anna, who I love, and a couple of other people out there.
Hmm.
So that's going to be great. I'm excited about that. I'm leaving very soon, December 4th, actually. So
Ooh.
right up.
Yeah. That's a week from today. That's
Yeah.
coming up very, very soon. We'll
I
have a
know.
great trip
I
then.
know. I know. So I'm excited. And meanwhile, we're
Good time.
buying this house. So it's like,
Tell people about that, because listeners don't know what's going on there. I mean, this is not just something that you're buying a house. You're actually doing this as a business proposition.
Yes. Yeah, we
No?
decided to expand our efforts out into the fix and flip world, and there's a lot. of
Lean in a
things-
little bit, Mike, because you're a little far away from the mic. So lean in a little bit.
I'm sorry. I said we decided to go into the fix and flip world, and there's a lot of moving parts to that.
oh
So
boy. I've been on the phone for like 2 days straight, just
yeah,
getting documents, emailing documents, texting documents, calling this one, calling. It's like, whoa, craziness. So, but Mike's a contractor who's been working for over 35 years, and it's like, okay, let's do something different. You know, let's try to buy a house and fix it and flip it and see if we can make a go at it. So
yeah. It's
that's what we're doing.
I'm up for the challenge and all the contrast that's associated to that.
And there is.
Well, you also have the skills for it. I mean, a contractor. What better person to get into the house flipping business? 'Cause
Well, I
you know the ins and outs.
until recently, I didn't really understand how important that was until you tried to get private money lenders to fund your deals, because they want that, they need that. And I was like, whoa,
Absolutely.
so I am a true asset here. Let's go. So
Yeah.
so yeah, all that had to come into play with, getting the funding for the deal and all that.
But you guys actually, I know you've been looking for about 6 months, something like that.
Yeah,
trying to
we
find
started.
the right first
Yeah,
house to go with, and you finally are close to getting the first one to start building up and
yes,
flipping and
it's
so forth.
it's real close. It's so close. I have all of my wrecking bars and hammers ready to go. They're just sit there idling, ready to go tear that thing apart and put it back together. But there's a word that really I had to embrace more, and that's the word, the phrase, the divine time, and how things have to line up. And all of a sudden, we're moving along, and we're putting in offers, and they're not happening, and we're putting in offers, and not, and all of a sudden, bang, this thing just fell into place, kind of like.
That's
I'm like,
nice.
and it all happened so quickly too. It's like, what? This is okay. This next, and it's just wow. Here we are.
That's fabulous. I know this is not something that it would be different from the way you would feel about it if you were getting the house for yourself. But
Yes,
as conscious creators, we always want to create these little vignettes of what it is that we're attracting, and obviously your attracting efforts are starting to pay off in a very big way. Have you in your mind any particular scene, any particular look for the house that you're looking at? I mean, have you imagined how you're going to redo the house? Have you got anything going that describes what it's like for you?
yes. The thing that for me always, when I take on a project to help a customer in the remodeling world, is to solve some real challenging things about their house, like opening up more space, creating a better livable kitchen, whatever it may be. But for me, in the flip world of buying a house and fixing it up, I want to take something that needs to be something that's outdated and bring it up to a modern way, or clean it up and make it more attractive and livable for somebody to have a nice home to live in. Like this particular house, I decided to put a brand new furnace in an AC unit in an older home that they were putting air conditioning units and windows.
Right.
I can't have that scenario right now, and I don't like doing that. So I figured I don't like doing that. So I would like to have central air. So it's going to be very challenging because of the shape and style of the house to make that happen. But the years of experience that I have, I can certainly create that. I have to be very creative on how I run the ductwork through the walls and such.
Creativity is fun too. I mean, you're actually getting an opportunity to apply something that you've developed over the years, but you were always doing it for other people. Now you get to do it to your own tastes, and that makes a big difference.
It is, yeah, it is. And I've had the opportunity to work with some early on in the mentors of my career, some really good craftsmen that taught me techniques to use and work ethics, and I have a vision. I can see things, and I can see how it's going to be in my mind, and just build it. I don't really, a lot of times I don't even need a blueprint. I can just look at it. And I had to change up the rehab. We originally was going to go one way with it, and we found some things that would not allow that to really happen, and some other things that we kind of overlooked. I know a lot of people watch those fix and flip shows on television.
Right.
In the real world, it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. I don't think they show the parts where you go, oh no, we didn't figure on that. And how are we going to overcome that situation? So we ran into a little bit of that. So we had to sit back down and revisit the rehab. And that's when I decided to really take the extra money, and put it into the new furnace, gas-fired furnace with the AC unit, and then put in a gas range, a new range. So I took that money and upgraded other things with it. So originally we were going to do 2 full baths, because it has one bath in it now, 1 full bathroom. Now we have to kind of like give a little, so now it's just going to be 1.5 bath.
Hey, that's still good though.
Yeah, it's still good. Yeah, and
1.5 is big.
The layout's going to look nice, but it's very rewarding to be able to create that way. And go into it with the mindset, you know, of the law of attraction as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm counting on people showing up to help with this, and they're just showing up. You know, like
See, now that's cool.
they're just showing up. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd show up. I didn't realize
Right.
you'd show up that quickly. Sometimes, I mean, it happens in an instant. Sometimes I'm like, and I've been listening to this. You know, yeah, it can happen in a second. You can manifest a castle as quickly as a button, and I'm like, really? But
Well, you're manifesting a castle, so you're getting
a
direct.
smaller version of one. And the people that I'm meeting along the way, and really how helpful they are. Some of the investors that've been in it much longer than I have, how they're willing to guide you and help, and the partnerships that are happening. It's a great thing. I'm looking forward to having that be my main focus and get away from doing, you know, the repair work for other customers. I know there'll be a lot of them that'll be like, ooh, who do I call now? But I'm hoping that other companies will step up and be there for them when I'm not taking on.
I think you can count on that. Yeah, that's definitely going to
some
happen.
customers I've had for, you know, 20 something years, and they call on me often to come solve some issues in their homes, you know, but I'm really looking forward to that, shifting into just real estate investing, and not only in Connecticut, but branching out into other.
Really?
Yeah, make it part of traveling as well. You know, travel, get into my dream is to get into on Winnebago and drive around, pick states that I want to flip a few houses in, and kind of like use it as a business vacation. You know, pull that motor home right up in front and live in that. Go in and get the house fixed and put it on the market and go off to the next one. That's my retirement goal.
You'll be driving the flipper mobile.
But first, we're going to get a few of them done in Connecticut, and then look around. It's exciting.
It is exciting. Yeah. Well, the excitement is all over your face. I mean, anybody who's watching the video, most people, of course, are listening to the audio on this, but anyone who can see the video can just see on your face how excited you are.
I've been wanting to do this for a long time, Walt. And, you know, one of the things that stopped me from doing it, because I really thought I had to have a big pile of money to do this. And you know, that pot of gold was not showing up. Right. Not realizing that people are willing to invest in these projects, because the percentage rate that they get back on the return of their money is a lot more than what they're getting in the banks and
sure,
some of their other where they're keeping some of their monies investing. So you know, paying upwards of 8% on loans. So or more. Or more. Or more.
But the cool thing is, once you get the first one done successfully,
yes,
it that alone puts out that vibration.
It does,
all by itself, you know. And,
it's funny, the things about this house that are really in alignment. I just thought about it the other day. It's the house number is 27, and that was my son's football number on his jersey through all the way through. She's up to high school. So that had a number. That's a significant number.
So that was meaningful for you.
Like that. Yeah.
That's a key thing right there, actually. People get worked up about numbers, and they get worried about them, like what do the numbers mean and so forth. But you actually tapped into what I think is the right way to deal with numbers, and that is you found what was meaningful for you and got excited about it. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Keeping that
really what it's about.
Right. Yeah. And there was a few things along the way that were not so exciting, but you still had to stay excited about it because it. You know, I know the law of attraction. If I put that out there, it'll come back.
Yes.
I suspect that the excitement level is, I mean, exciting can be in a variety of different forms. Fear can be a form of excitement.
That's true.
You know, so it's really just a question of how are you going to look at the excitement. If you're looking at the excitement in a way that is to your benefit, then you're looking at it to your benefit. If you're looking at it as something to be afraid of, then that's a clue.
Yep. Well,
time to reshift.
That's all what it is your perception, right?
Yeah.
It's all about perception and how you're feeling about whatever it is you're experiencing.
In the words of Esther Hicks, stop thinking about the money. I hear that in my head sometimes. Just stop thinking about the money.
It's
Right?
been
Can't
part of
always be
mine.
about the money.
It's been part of my mantra. Just put the money aside. Just don't even think about it. It's
Go
not worth it.
general. Go general.
Go
Go
general.
general.
Yeah. And know that it'll all show up in divine time.
And I think what actually happens is if we have a lot of negative momentum built up about money, it can take a while to kind of wind it
Oh,
down.
it'll take a long while.
But as it winds down, you actually get to the point. Well, this is what I found anyway. I actually get to the point where I simply forget about the money. I just it just doesn't become a part of my daily conversation anymore. And that's actually what started happening about, I'd say 6 to 9 months ago, something like that.
Okay.
That's great.
And stuff has been happening. Things have been improving.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have to take a moment to say that I'm grateful for our new partner, Lewis, who showed up through a manifestation, and he wanted to join our team, and we're teaming up on this effort. So
Fabulous.
he has a lot to bring to the table, so that's a really good thing. So I'll do a shout out to, we call him Big Louie.
Big Louie? Okay.
Louie, well, if you're shouting out to Big Louie, I'm shouting out to my dad and John Basinger.
Oh yeah, and all the
We're
money,
really-
and all the money people
really
that have stepped
helping
up for
us,
us. Yeah.
supporting us,
Let's not forget the money
believing
people.
in us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels good, doesn't it? It feels good when you know what you were trying to get to, you know what you were hoping was going to happen, but when it finally starts happening, it's a little disorienting, but you just kind of roll with it a little bit, and it starts to get exciting, and it starts to feel good. Wow, these people are really coming to our aid to help us reach our goals, and by the way, we'll be helping them reach their goals at the same time. How cool is that?
Well,
Yep,
you know what it's
yep.
like to look at real estate, Walt. I know you've been poking around looking at online, and there's been a few times I have to admit that I just go away from my desk and go, wow. I was looking at 20, 30 houses a day and then running numbers and putting offers in. I'm like, whoa, are we ever going to get one? No, don't think like that. We're going to get one. We're one more offer away from getting it closer. I mean, one more offer closer to getting one. And it's looking really good. It's looking very confident that we're going to close on this thing soon.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fabulous.
Yep.
So that's a really big appreciation thing. Isn't it interesting how I find anyway, every Thanksgiving, there's a bunch of little things that we're grateful for and appreciative of, but there's usually one big thing that's kind of hanging in the background. And sometimes it's something we really don't want to talk about because we figure, well, I don't really believe it's coming anyway, so I'm not going to bring it up because I'll just embarrass myself. But sometimes there's something that we're feeling good about, and that's the one that's about ready to manifest. So,
it's funny that you
that's
just,
what I sense.
Yeah, because I would often feel that way. Like, I have big vision, big dreams, and sometimes I don't want to talk about it because it sounds crazy. Like, how could this possibly happen?
Yeah.
But I guess when you do put it out there, you welcome it. You put the vibration out there and the belief in it. You must believe in it.
Well, I've mentioned to listeners in the last few days that I've been doing some more work with programming lately, and programming was something that I had basically abandoned about a year ago, because the project I was working on was basically to write some software for Louise's gardening business. And the kind of project I needed to do was beyond anything I'd ever done before. I just didn't know how to do it.
Oh.
And when I looked at, I actually did try to dive in to start doing it, and I just got lost. And started feeling really down about it, really negative about it, not feeling good at all, to the point where I just walked away from it, and which was the right thing to do, because when you're getting that negative, you're not doing yourself any favors.
Right.
But this time I'm coming back to it feeling like, well, I really can learn it this time.
Okay.
Good for you.
Which is a mental shift that you have to make. Now, I did attract information that helped me to understand that was true. I learned within the last 3 months or so that there have been advances, developments of new platforms, new frameworks, and so forth for doing software programming that make it easier to be able to do what I want to do and make it within my reach. It's like, this is something I can learn.
Good.
So here I am at age 62, basically going back to self-taught school, which I haven't, that's what most of my schooling was over the years, but I haven't done it in a long time. And if you had asked me a year ago, after I was giving up would I ever do that again? I would have said, I think I actually said on the radio, on the podcast, absolutely no, I will never do that again. And here I am a year
Here you
later,
are.
and I'm not only doing it, I'm doing it with joy. I'm doing it with like,
Well, that's good. You shouldn't do anything unless you're going to do it with joy, right?
well, yeah. Well, actually, literally with Joy, because Joy was laying in my lap today as I was doing it, but my cat. But also, I've been doing it with a feeling of, wow, this is exciting. I could actually learn this. I could actually do this thing. And it also occurs to me that, and this has been pointed out to me by co-hosts as well, assuming that I can pull this off, assuming I can learn it and really create this new package, I know what's out there in the marketplace for similar packages by companies that are selling this as a service. And frankly, they stink. They're terrible. And by my standards, they just aren't good enough. So if I can come up with something that's good, I bet you I could get a business going with it. Now, a year ago, I would have just turned my nose up at that. Like, no way I was going to do that. There was just too much pain associated with it. But when you get your head turned around like I've done in the last year, all of a sudden, the impossible seems possible.
Good for you.
It's just
Did
amazing.
you recognize when that shift actually started to change your thoughts about it? When, was there some sort of episode or a conversation where just you said, hey, I'm just going to revisit this and make it happen?
I think it started on day one. I think it started on the day when I decided I wasn't going to do it anymore. It wasn't, I can't point to any particular event that said, well, yes, on that particular day, I could just see myself turning the corner. No. It wasn't like that. But I think that's where the corner actually started to turn. Because just by voicing my frustration, you talked about earlier about embracing stuff that's difficult. Mm-hmm. That's really what I was doing. Mm-hmm. I was embracing it with the idea of letting it go forever. But I was still embracing it long enough to recognize, yep, that's something that I really, really don't like. And I'm done with that. And just by being done with it, I started to release it.
Wow.
Because that's what the embracing is all about. It's about releasing.
It felt like your gut was telling you to go this way and you were going that way. Did you feel that energy shift? Did you feel like your gut was calling you to go some way?
Not for some time. No, it took quite some time before I felt the energy shift. If you pin me down, I'll say I felt it starting about 5 or 6 months after that. And even then, as I was feeling the energy shift, I didn't really believe it. And I didn't think it could really work.
Okay.
I remember talking about it with Cindy Chavez, actually, who does the Wednesday podcast with me normally. I think it was after one of the shows that we did. We just, because we often do conversations afterward. And she was saying, well, you really should consider doing it so you can sell it. And I said, that's the last thing I really want to do right now. So I was starting to feel it, but I was nowhere near ready to make any kind of commitment to saying, yes, I'm willing to go after that thing and want it and get excited about it and so forth. It wasn't until this past summer I started trying to reach out to other programmers, trying to get bids and so forth to see what it would cost us to have somebody else do it, and ultimately came to the conclusion that we just didn't have enough cash for it.
Right.
But in those conversations, I had one conversation with a really nice guy, an American, and he was showing me this framework that he was using, which was one I'd never heard of. And he showed me the code, and I said, I can read that code. That's really easy. And he said, yeah, it is really easy. I said, that's cool. I wonder how hard it is to learn that. And that's what started building it up again. So throughout that time, I had been slowly putting out there feelers, not deliberately. I hadn't really said, I want to start manifesting this. It was more like I was in the release mode and I was letting go of the angst and letting go of stuff. And in that letting go, old requests were starting to fill in. Here was a request that I put out long ago. How do I solve this? I wasn't getting an answer to it. Well, actually, I was blocking it. I just didn't know it at the time.
Right, you were aware.
But now it was coming in. Now I could receive it. And it just kind of helped to keep that shift going. So it wasn't a one particular event. It was an ongoing transition from the moment where I said, no, I'm not going to do it.
Until you felt that exact alignment that felt good and that you're going to move forward with it.
And I still don't have the exact alignment, but that's okay. You don't have to have exact alignment.
Right.
You just have to get better. Feeling better is the whole thing. It isn't even necessarily feeling good. Although that's certainly where you want to get to. It's feeling better. If you're at 0.0 and you climbed up to 0.3, you're better. It may not be 0.25 where you want to be, but it's still better.
Yeah, pivoting in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me of Abraham saying that the feeling that you're always going for is relief.
That's right.
Yeah.
Relief. If you're down in the dumps or whatever it is, it's relief. Yeah, getting to that next step. Yeah.
I'm remembering back about, I don't know, let's say 4, maybe 5 months ago, when I was really feeling this discomfort in my gut about something that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this little phrase that I thought was really good. It goes like this: as I think, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
As I feel, I radiate.
Mm-hmm.
As I radiate, I create. I wrote it down on a card and I taped it to my steering wheel. And I just kept reading this all day long. And I'm driving in my truck, and I also have it in my office. And it finally allowed me to walk away from something that I knew I needed to not do anymore. But there was money involved, and I was doing it just for the money.
Mm.
But I was not that, and I was not feeling good about doing what I was doing for the money. So
Right.
I decided in an instant just to walk away from it. Now, that money's gone, so I had to, and that's why I had a hard time walking away from it, because now that money's not there. But
oh no, we got a freeze. Oh dear. Just as we're getting to the best part of the story. Well, I think it's a signal from the universe anyway. I do want to make sure I remind people who are not yet subscribers to become a subscriber. Most of you have become subscribers, and I really appreciate the fact that you're subscribers. But if you're not a subscriber, just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net, and that's where you can become a subscriber. And be sure also to check us out on YouTube so you can watch us, because that's where we do our recordings. We live stream to YouTube. So go on to YouTube and join us for the live stream there, and subscribe and click the little bell so you get notified when we're live. But either way, become a subscriber, because we love having you. We love you, all of your listeners that are growing in number. We appreciate every one of you. And Mike and Emery, you're back, so maybe you can finish your story. You kind of got cut off because we lost your signal for a second there.
Yeah, I just got a notice. It said your internet is not connected or something. I'm like, what? What happened? What happened? I don't know. Internet, you gotta love it, you gotta hate it. I don't know.
I was just talking about gut feelings, and when we go against our gut feeling, it will always get us there if we just pause enough to allow it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And little techniques that I would use, writing that card and just reminding myself that I'm doing this for the wrong reasons, and I want to listen to my gut more. And I've been doing more of that because of that experience. So through that whole thing and releasing the fact that, I'm not going to do this anymore for the money, what I gained from it was worth more than money, because it allowed me to listen to my gut more. And that's been working really well for me.
That's huge.
Just listen to your gut, you know what the feelings are. Just.
Did you catch his statement about as you think you feel?
Mm-hmm.
As you feel you okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to make sure you got that in if you lost it. So.
And I'm not really sure how I found that statement, but it showed up at the right time, and I said, I got to write this down.
It's even written at the buttonwood tree. He writes it everywhere.
Yeah. I said, if it could help me, man, this could probably help.
I'm surprised it's not on my back. Let me check. Is it on my back?
Think about making T-shirts up.
Yeah, there you go.
World War II soldiers used to say, "Kilroy is here." This is your version of it, only it's a much happier version.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, very good. Well, thank you for first of all, guys. Thank you for helping us do this Thanksgiving rampage. We appreciate that. Thanks also for sharing what's going on with the building project. I mean, that's an exciting project.
Yeah,
we're really excited.
Yeah, way more than that than I expected. But
thank you, Walt, for inviting us on the podcast. We're really grateful for you and Louise and all that you do. And Daily Dose of Happy is, everybody could use a little bit of that.
Yeah. Thanks
5
for being
days a
our
week.
friends, And we're going to be doing the Fire of Hope again, December 31st. So feel free to join us again for that. I'm grateful to Anita for coming to share a very important message for 2020. So she's already given me a little insight into that, and I'm like, wow, we got to spread this message.
It'll be at the Buttonwood Tree this year, correct?
Yeah, we're going to do it at the Buttonwood Tree.
Yeah.
So
Buttonwood, okay. Very good.
But we'll do the fire outside.
So anyone who lives in the central Connecticut area near Middletown, by all means, drop by, because that annual event is really a very cool event you guys put on.
Yeah,
Thanks.
No doubt about that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Walt.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Walt.
Thanks for joining me. Thank you to our live streamers. Thank you especially to our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy Thanksgiving.
everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Everyone.
Goodbye.